Get ready, everyone, and you just might survive. Ruben and Jason are here with their X-Men deep dive. Going through all the X-books is their mission, so get ready for the Learned Edition. Things are getting weird in here. Ruben hopes another sword book gets announced this year. It's the Weird Dose of X, the X-Men comic show. It's the Weird Dose of X, guaranteed. It's the Weird Dose of X, guaranteed not to blow, except your mind. It's the Weird Dose of X, the X-Men comic show. It's the Weird Dose of X, guaranteed not to blow, except your mind.
Welcome, all you weirdos, protective spirits of Russian bathhouses, and everyone treating their unfortunate medical conditions with heaps and heaps of expensive precious metal. It is time to receive your 192nd Weird Dose of X, the mutant member of your Weird Science podcast family. I am your probably not a Skrull host, Jason, broadcasting to you as always from the Wrong Turn studio perched high atop stately Weird Science Manor. And joining me today from a studio of the mind that is somehow also on fire, it's my pal Ruben. Hey Ruben, how the heck are you?
If I die on this podcast, I die in real life.
I think that is true, although not comedically, because if that were true, I'd be long dead. So have you recovered from the big Oscars party that I know you must have had last night?
Oh, yeah, I didn't watch a second of that. But I did get invited to an Oscar party. Does that count? I just didn't go. I came back from... Yeah, I came back from Las Vegas. I was on a business trip where I was giving a talk on...
Right, gotcha.
Artificial intelligence issues, and I have a fancy lanyard that says speaker on it, so that's going on my wall.
Very cool. How'd that big speech go? Big talk?
The talk went well. There were a lot of people. I was extremely nervous. The guy that looped me into this talk that was going to be my co-panelist, he had a family emergency, so he bailed.
Oh.
So that started out putting extra nerves into me, but it went well. So I think all this podcasting must be paying off.
So you can deduct your microphone on your taxes now. I think that's how that works.
Yeah, something like that.
You can quote me on that.
Yeah, I hated Vegas. I really hated Vegas. I'm just going to say it quickly.
Sure.
I will share these details to make you laugh. It's mostly because I felt like a dirtbag being there. And I am nothing... I'm a pretty upstanding person, but so I get there to check in, and the I don't know what you call it, the guy at the desk, the front desk man, he said, "Oh, do you need somebody to check on you each morning, like a proof of life kind of check?" And I was like,
"My goodness,
what are you talking about? Like, I'm here for a conference." And then I talked to like the other people that came here with for my firm, and nobody else got the like, "Do we need to check on you?"
You must have that
question.
Look about you.
Yeah, exactly.
You're going to drink so much that you might die overnight. That we just can tell by looking at you.
Yes,
something
exactly.
in the eyes.
Exactly. Yeah. And then I was walking between a mall and the hotel I was staying at, and I got accosted by ladies of the night.
Uh-huh.
And then when I told them I wasn't interested, I got called many slurs. So I was like, "This place sucks. This really sucks."
They don't take a polite "no, thank you, ma'am." They don't like that.
No.
Oh well.
I was texting my wife. She thought it was hilarious. But anyways, the only good thing is that I was having just a really bad trip besides the talk going decently. But then I was like, you know what? I'm in Vegas. There's got to be something good here. And I'm a big stage magic fan. So I tried to get people to go, and everybody's like, "That's really lame." Like one guy the night before said he was going to go, and then he just like ghosted me the whole all of Friday. Wouldn't respond to my text. And I'm like, "Are we going?" So I'm like, you know what? I don't care. I'm gonna buy a ticket. I'm gonna go on my own, and I'm gonna enjoy it. So I've seen Penn and Teller several times in Seattle when they travel.
Nice.
So I chose not to see them. Although I was like, I've never seen them in Vegas. Maybe it'd be worth it. But I had seen this guy Shin Lim a few years ago. I'd seen him on TV. He won like a close-up magic contest.
Okay, neat.
At some point. And I'm a big fan of the card stuff, right? Because that's just like dexterity. It's pretty impressive. And so I was like, yeah, I'll go see this guy. And the show was incredible. It was definitely worth it. So if I were to do Vegas again, I think I would stay off the strip and then just come in and see the shows and then leave as quickly as possible.
I've never been to Vegas. I'd like to go to the Hoover Dam. That sounds like fun. That's the kind of nerd I am.
Yeah.
I guess I've been to the Connecticut casinos a couple times just for concerts. I saw Lyle Lovett perform there because, again, that's the kind of cool guy I am. I go to casinos to see Lyle Lovett.
Yeah.
Very much not my scene. I think it's probably a good thing, but I would hate losing money to gambling so much more than I would enjoy winning money.
Yeah.
Right? I
No,
would
exactly.
just kick myself for years if I lost $5 in a slot machine. Like, why would you do that? And if I won $30 or if I won $100, I'd be like, you dumb bastard, you got so lucky. Why did you do that? It's just not my idea of a good time.
Yeah. That's same here. The last thing I'll say is I've been recovering from the plague for about a month, and I'm finally feeling like maybe 97%.
So you probably did not spread that to everyone in Las Vegas, so they all take it back to their own
No, I probably
states?
did, yeah.
You're patient zero? Okay, good to know.
But they allow smoking in the casinos.
Ooh.
So basically everywhere except for my hotel room. And so I was just like hacking my lungs off.
Wow, that feels like the 1970s. I mean, that's been not a thing everywhere I've been since mid-'80s probably. Yeah. I do remember when there used to be like ashtrays in McDonald's. I'm just old enough to remember that, but it's been a long, long time.
Yeah, it was rough. And you have to go through the casino to get anywhere in that space. So, yeah, not fun.
Well, Ruben, neither you nor I like taking risks with our money, but somehow we still keep taking risks on these comic books. So let's see if it ever came up Snake Eyes this week. And I don't know any more gambling metaphors, so I'm just going to list the titles. They are X-Men United #1, Magik and Colossus #2, and then we leave the confines of Earth and the X-Office.
Save that for the X-Men podcast.
And we're going to talk about Nova Centurion #5 from last week, which I think is the penultimate issue of that series, and Imperial Guardians #1. That sound like a better time than slot machines?
Yeah, that's funny enough. I was joking with my wife. I was like, I bet you can't guess what I did on this trip, and she was like, "You sat in your hotel room reading comic books," and I was like, "God damn it, you 100% nailed it!" Oh man!
Well, let's see if the comic books that you read in Vegas stay in Vegas. The first one we're going to talk about it's a brand new title. Are we calling this a flagship? I don't even know anymore. It's X-Men United #1, which sounds like a soccer team, but is actually a comic book. The story in this issue is titled "Welcome to Gray Matter Lane."
It's written in a way. It's written in a way where it feels like it's supposed to be a big deal, but I'm not buying it.
Yeah, just the list of characters on that front cover is incredible. 27 characters on the kind of cast of characters page. Emma, Kitty, Iceman, Cyclops, Beast, Magneto, Glob, Storm, Rogue, Gambit, Nightcrawler, Wolverine, the other Wolverine, Prodigy, Axel, Bronze, Melee, Rift, Sophie, Dryad, Flourish, Wolfcub, Woofer, Lulu, Galora, Animalia, and Ben. And then we add some more. And this is, of course, written by Eve L. Ewing of Exceptional X-Men. And this is basically a sequel to Exceptional X-Men in most purposes. Art by Tiago Palma. Colors by Brian Raber. Letters by Joe Sabino. So, Ruben, I was wrong about something last week. It does happen every once in a while. I predicted there would be an instance of a character breaking the fourth wall in this issue like Eve Ewing had been doing in Exceptional. Didn't happen. I guess maybe she's decided to leave that technique behind, or maybe she'll just bring it back next issue.
They're just trying to make this more serious, I think. This is more of a traditional X story, at least the framing of it, but I don't like the character voices in this that much.
Yeah, it's tough because she is trying to write characters from all over the X universe, characters that are in other current books. And yeah, they don't sound right to me either. And I think she shows a hard task and doesn't really pull it off. So the issue was not that great. She does set her concept up here. We've got an of the mind school to train mutants in, okay, that's not so clear. But we've got this vague concept. We've got the huge cast. The voices are kind of weird. I do think that a lot of these characters are just kind of mathematically going to have to basically be background characters. There's no way to juggle 27 and by the end of the issue, 28 real characters in one title. It just can't work.
Yeah.
And most of these students...
I mean, it did in the 80s. They were able to do this, but I don't think the current writing style favors a cast that large.
Yeah, I guess Chris Claremont could, but you had the feeling that he was kind of running things and wasn't just reacting to stuff where...
Yeah.
Do you think this book is going to be around for
That's the thing.
issues?
Yeah, it's not, right? So I guess that's the point. When you have 100 issues, you can seed little character moments here and there and have it pay off 20 issues down the line. And this is partly driven by the modern writing convention where you've got like maybe 5 issues to prove that you're a viable title.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like, yeah, cast is probably too big for that.
So to do the gambling talk one more time, what would you put the under-over at for the number of issues? Like 12, maybe?
That's 2 books? Yeah, that's probably right. I don't think this will get... It's acting too big to be done in 6. Right. I don't think Marvel would do that, but I have a feeling it's
Exceptional
not
went 13 issues, plus 3 in the Age of Revelation, if you feel like counting those, but really 13. That's probably about what this is going to get. So a question for you, Ruben. What exactly is this new school? Describe it to me.
Did you read Legion of X? Because I remember reading that book.
Yeah, it is reminiscent of that, but
or
I
Way
feel
of
like
X.
that explained things a little more. Well, yeah,
Yes.
What was that called? The place in Legion's mind?
Yeah, I don't remember the name of the space, but it definitely was like that idea.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone's acting like we've never heard of this. I'm like, okay. Especially when Nightcrawler was like,
exactly.
What's going on here? This is so wild. I'm like, dude, you were part of a team that was
2 years ago.
Yeah, doing this. But I guess the idea is you go out and find young mutants that don't have other mutants to associate with. You invite them into this headspace, and then you train them up so they can defend themselves from people that are going to kill them.
But on an even more basic level, is it a physical location? Are the people going to the school just sitting and meditating, and their minds are going?
I think
to the
they're sitting and
astral
meditating.
plane?
I think it's like going to your closet because you're going to be like blank faced for some period of time. But I bet they're going to do one of those things where it's like time and headspace is different than time and reality.
Well,
so
they
it's,
mentioned that.
A blip
they do
of
say
time.
that somewhere. Which it must be. They have to say that because otherwise, how can Logan be in 17 books at once?
Yeah,
because you have to say this doesn't actually take up any time.
Yeah,
but I think they showed actual doors appearing to different characters. So I think you physically go through a door.
I don't think so. I think you get invited into a psychic waiting room, and if you have the right password, then that allows you to access this space.
But you think, like, for instance, Kitty is sitting in her apartment there in Chicago,
yes,
legs crossed, meditating when this is happening.
Yeah, and I think she goes into like a whatever psychic blank room, and then she says the secret passcode, and then the right door opens.
I got the feeling it was something more physical, but it's not very well explained, so it could be either.
Yeah.
So Emma is officially the headmistress of the school. It runs on equipment that the Exceptional scavenged from that Verite corporation that was being run by a Mr. Sinister clone. So no security issues there. What could possibly go wrong?
Yeah, and Scott's an asshole for thinking that's a bad idea, right?
Like, Scott is the only one being at all skeptical. And, I need my Cyclops is right t-shirt again because he is completely 100% correct. This is stupid. Dumb idea.
It's like, that's cool, Scott. We just use Mr. Sinister stuff. That's safe. 100% safe. We always know that Mr. Sinister's on the up and up. And then they invite
doors, no tricks.
Yeah, and then when Kitty gets the Lockheed clone, that's like a Mr. Sinister thing. I was like, you idiot! Like, if the tech isn't corrupt, the fucking clone of your friend is not.
That would be
a
fun twist. Is that baby fake Lockheed who's being called Marigold? So to explain that,
jumping around.
That's fine. There's no real plot to this, so it's just a bunch of different things being set up.
Yeah.
So in exceptional number 10, when they finished up that arc with Verite and that Mr. Sinister lab, Kitty found this creature that I thought was Lockheed.
Yeah.
Because I don't even know where the real Lockheed is. Do you have any idea where the real Lockheed is? I don't think we've seen Lockheed since sometime in Krakoa.
Yeah.
So she finds this Lockheed-looking dragon, and then we never saw the dragon again for the last 3 issues of Exceptional, which were the arc when Kitty went back in time with the whole rift nonsense.
Mm-hmm.
So that was never referred back to again. And now we're told that is a clone of Lockheed that Bronze calls Marigold because there's a yellow splotch on the back of its neck. And I looked back, you never see the back of the creature's neck in Exceptional. So whether this was the plan or not, who knows? Maybe they just took advantage. Look back at, we never see the back of the neck. That's our chance to actually make it look different.
Yeah.
So yeah, that is the kind of mascot of the book. Kitty has a Lockheed-looking dragon again.
Yeah.
Let's see what else we got going on. We have the exceptional kids. They're labeled as student mentors. So they're like TAs, kind of, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, I kind of laughed because I was like, they were kind of dopes in the exceptional, right? Like, I never thought they went through a development cycle where they became highly competent. And maybe that's just because the series got canceled too quickly. But they were kind of bumbling idiots. And yet here now they're like, you know, the ones being entrusted to mentor the less experienced.
Even Rift, who is Reggie, the one who, we've seen him in the future in Age of Revelation, but in his past, all he's done is cause trouble once and get Kitty sent back in time.
Yeah.
So he hasn't even gotten any, unless, whatever time passed in between series.
Yeah.
He's a complete noob, and he's also one of the student mentors. And
kind of
Axo
feels
is
like
helping to run the whole verite, emotional, psychic nonsense that's running the place.
Yeah. Yeah. It felt to me like they're going off the experience they gained in Age of Revelation. Like, we see Bronze, and she seems really in control of her powers and a capable fighter now. And I'm like, we never saw that in Exceptional. We only saw that in Age of Revelation. And that time hasn't occurred, right? It's not like those people came from that period back to the present. So I guess you just got a hand wave that they're capable now, but I didn't buy it for 1 second.
I guess you have to assume there was more training between titles. But that's kind of iffy. And all of the students are existing characters. I looked them up. These are not brand new created characters, except for the one French girl who gets recruited this issue. Yeah. Everyone from Dryad, Flourish, Wolf Cub. Most of these I hadn't heard of. And Amalia and Ben, of course, we know. They're from Adjective List. Lulo is an Iraqi student who is from X-Men Red.
I'd say that
some of these have been around for decades that would have a lot more experience than our exceptionals.
Even Animalia and Ben, I feel like, have had more combat experience than the exceptional team. Like, the exceptional team literally just had, like, maybe a few sparring sessions with Emma and Kate. And then, I guess, Axo had the kind of conflict with Mr. Sinister, but I don't think the others really got into that, right?
Not so much. And what is Ben going to do, though? Is he going to is this where he's supposed to learn to use his wacky reality-bending, aliens attacking San Francisco type of powers? I don't know.
Yeah.
So we've got a curriculum. We have 4 classes of this curriculum. Got combat training. That makes sense. The professors are the Wolverines. That's the only class we actually see. What we're told, the other classes are mutant anatomy with Beast. And what does that even mean? Because
I got annoyed about that. I was like,
Glob stand in front like he's Sam Goodbody because you can see all the organs. What?
I was like, how do you what's the value in that? Right? You've got people that look like Glob, and then you've got people that are like, I don't know, like there's a wide range, right? They've got all kinds of crazy
ones that don't. No girl who has no body.
Yeah. I was just like, what is the value of that? If the whole point of this is we're trying to teach you to be safe and be able to take care of yourself and resist being attacked, like, what does mutant anatomy have to do with that?
Don't know. Because this is not like a full-time school like the Xavier Academy. This is like extra classes after school. Because if you're here, you're either a full-on adult and have a job, or you're on another X team like Ben and Amalia. Or you're, a kid going to regular school and then doing this after school, I guess. So the other classes, Principles of Teamwork and Leadership with Storm, which I think is just to kiss Storm's ass. I think that's the only reason we're mentioning that. And then finally, we have History and Philosophy with Professor Magneto. Yeah. Are we going to see any classes other than combat training? I don't know.
No. People heard that Storm was kicked off the Avengers, so they wanted to throw her a bone. Like, oh, you're not unemployed. Come here and teach in the psychic school.
She's busy enough. She's got the war above all, like the actual god of the Marvel universe is going to be attacking her, I think. She's currently knocked up, as far as we know, that she's going to have maybe Wolverine's baby.
Yeah.
It'd be kind of funny if we see her show up pregnant in class someday. That could be interesting. Like, I'm really curious how much this is going to reflect what's going on in the other books.
I will say your theory about the door being like an actual door, and these are people that are like actually entering into a space. It may be true because Magneto is still in his hover chair.
That's a good point.
When I saw that, I was like,
why would you still be
of the mind? Why would you be in the damn hover chair? Wouldn't you be like Magneto as Magneto?
And in that And that double page spread with all the doorways, we see some other characters. We see Vulcan there in front of a door.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yep.
We see Multiple Man. We see all sorts of other characters there. So this is a page that's really trying to tell us, I think Bishop is there, Shark Girl.
Why would Vulcan get invited, by the way? Wasn't the last time we saw him in X-Men Red, he was like trying to become Emperor Vulcan again? And he
I do believe
got buried under the sands of Mars.
And we only see him from behind, but that is Vulcan's costume, and his hand is covered in fire. So it's got to be Vulcan.
Yeah. And we see Colossus with his do-rag look again. That's shown up now twice in two different books.
That's true, yeah.
It made me, I'm like, what are they doing with Colossus? Why is he wearing the red do-rag? But
so I think I don't know. I think that page is just to signal this is really important to everybody who's going to be involved, even if it's not actually going to happen.
Let me raise another point. Like,
please.
You have this school, you have 4 classes. Why are you inviting all these other people? Like, you see...
The faculty to student ratio is kind of out of whack.
Yeah, there's like Forge. Like, what are they doing in this scene? You see Bishop, you see Forge, you see Shark Girl, you see Frenzy. Or not Frenzy, sorry, Temper. You see Temper, Jubilee, Gambit. Know. Like, what are these people doing? They're not in any of the classes. They're just like, and you even see Multiple Man. Like, what the fuck are they doing? They're just hanging out in the school.
We don't
just
see
walking
them
around for no reason.
Through the door. So is it just they're invited? Maybe they're not there.
Oh, and you think they just said no thanks?
I don't know. We see some of them. Like some of them appear to be, striding towards the door, like they're going to go through, and others are looking at it like, what the hell is this? Like Jubilee looks confused, like she doesn't know what's going on. I guess maybe that's just Jubilee. So that's the book, and I doesn't feel like the other books are going to mention, oh, so what's been going on in your studies in Gray Matter Lane. It doesn't feel. I'm waiting to see if it's going to turn out to be important. It doesn't feel like it's going to be important.
Yeah, I agree.
But we do get a little bit of plot here. Things don't go great on the first day. You have combat training class. Lulu.
Why do you need 2 Wolverines to do combat training? That's another question I had.
Because
it's like they literally have the same power set.
The other one. Yeah, I don't know. So Lulu gets a little hyper and nicks Animalia's neck with a knife. Tiny drops of blood make Wolf Cub go totally berserk. Try to kill her. They probably should have, known about that beforehand. Fill out a form. I don't know. Bronze does a good job of restraining Wolf Cub, but not before Galora gets clawed pretty badly. Almost as badly as I was when that cockatoo bit my finger. Have I mentioned that? The time a cockatoo bit my finger? I don't think it's come up.
PTSD from this scene, is that what you're saying?
Pretty bad. It looks pretty bad, is what I'm saying. So we've got that going on. We have this Cerebro knockoff device called the Empathy Engine. This can find young mutants, but only ones who are experiencing, what does it say? Experiencing the debilitating levels of unrest, depression, or isolation. They use that to find this girl, Mariama, a French African immigrant, I think, mutant girl.
Yeah. I also questioned, like, we already have this, you're in this base and it's in the of the mind space, right?
Yeah.
Which is like a high concept idea already. And then they're like, oh, this Cerebro thing is in this other dimension that's like actually there that can be accessed by Rift at any time. I was like, why are you adding this extra layer of complexity? You already have mystery headspace.
In of the mind astral plane kind of situation. And then Rift makes a rift to somewhere else. And then this device sends them to somewhere else back in the real world.
Yes.
It's just these nested, Russian doll situation of complication that I don't know is necessary.
Yeah.
So they recruit this other girl, which I guess is just to show that they are actively recruiting brand new mutants who have never been in books before.
Yeah. This room exists physically in a constantly rearranging, constantly moving quantum stream to which Rift is always tethered. I was like, what the fuck?
That's
why?
Those are some words right there.
Why? Other than I assume this means one of the plot points is that this section gets taken over at some point, and they didn't want to have people in Emma's headspace.
I did see that in the regular level of the school, there are dragonflies flying around, and Rift names one of them, says, oh, that species is a blue dasher.
Yes.
Blue dashers being the name of the team in Age of Revelation.
Yes.
That's an Easter egg, I guess.
That was definitely a wink wink. It's now we know why they were named the Blue Dashers, because
he likes dragonflies.
Thing for Blue Dashers, yep.
Oh, let's see. So then I think that's most of what's going on here, except the very, very end. So anything we want to talk about before we talk about the ending?
I'm flipping through. I don't think so.
I think we hit all the high points.
There were, I would say, I'll say one more thing. You get a weird scene where Axo and Sophie Cuckoo are kind of flirting,
Right.
which comes out of completely nowhere. I was like, what is going on? Like,
weren't they flirting over that game chat app back in Exceptional?
Yeah. Okay,
and
I forgot
NYX?
about that. I forgot. Okay, they just weren't in person. It was like a
And then they
online
met
thing.
up physically, not to get too sexy there. They met up in the real world at the Hellfire
Got
Vigil,
it.
I believe.
Got it. Okay.
So that
This
is
felt like it was out of
that's
nowhere, but it's
continuation.
continuing.
No,
Okay.
that's real.
No, I feel better
that's
about that
fine.
then. All right. I
So
won't
and
be
then
upset
the
about
end.
that.
So we have Cyclops. He's stormed out of the mind space because he thinks it's a bad idea, and he's right.
Yeah.
We're back in Alaska, and he's arguing with Glob about it. Glob is all like, "No, it's a great idea, Scott. You're a jerk." And Scott's like, "No, I'm not." Scott ends saying, "Hey, Glob, don't worry, I'm handling it." And then we hard cut to a cliffhanger splash page, which I guess is the whole of the Mind school on fire. We've
Yes.
never seen the outside of the school, so
Who knows?
who knows? I think if you really wanted to sell this as the school is on fire, I would want a matching, like an opening page to look just
Yeah.
like this, but not on fire. I think that would work.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I don't know what this building is. The windows almost look like Doctor Strange's house, but it's not. And then there's like a big shark fin on top, and it looks kind of like Graymalkin Lane.
Yeah.
But I don't know this building, so I don't have any emotional hit from this because I have never seen the place before. But in context, I guess we're at least supposed to believe that Scott has set the Of the Mind building on Of the Mind fire while all the students are still there? What does that even mean? I don't know.
And how would he do this? He's not a psychic. That was the other thing. I was just like, okay, what exactly does this mean he accomplished? He thought bad things about it. I mean, I guess the point is supposed to be he's trying to show them that this is not a safe space. But again, how did he do it? Did he just like go in there and he just object blasted the shit out of the building? But why would that cause flames, right?
Yeah, not explained at all.
What did he do? So who knows?
So I think this book would be a really... Go ahead.
I did want to mention one more thing that just like really grated my nerves.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a scene where Scott is talking about how this is a bad idea, saying essentially you get all the mutants together, create a big target for anti-mutant groups. And they, I think he's talking to Kitty Pryde, and she's like, "You're being a jerk. This is totally safe, right? We've used all this Mr. Sinister tech. This is great." And then she name drops. She goes, "And this is what Professor X would have wanted." And I was like, is that the current status that like that's now something good? Because I remember Professor X leaving in shame and everybody being like, "This guy fucked us," right? And they still don't know that he didn't kill all those humans. Yeah. So I was like, why would that be?
Yeah, good point.
Why would that be something you could throw in his face and be like, "Oh, okay, you got me. Professor X wants this." Especially Scott. He's like, "Get out of here. I'm gonna like, if you ever come back, I'm killing you." Right? Like, I don't know why you throw Professor X's name in.
They did have that big farewell party, kumbaya moment at the end of X Manhunt, right? There was like a little get together on a beach as, I'm going away into space, although he's going to have to come slinking back because that didn't work out. But I think there was a bit there when he said something about he wants the school to be a thing again. So I think it is a reference to something specific, but you're right that he's not exactly their hero these days.
Yeah. That's like somebody saying like, "Well, Ruben, Donald Trump said this." I'll be like, okay. It doesn't persuade me in like the slightest. But anyways.
Yeah. So I think this would be a fun book to have as an Infinity comic. I think a little weekly, let's peek in at this Of the Mind school where all these wacky characters from all the books get to cross over and do their own thing. I think that'd be a lot of fun. But as a real physical monthly, allegedly one of the flagship titles, it feels kind of weightless. So I know I'm supposed to think, oh no, he burnt the school down at the end, but they haven't made me care about it, so it doesn't hit. Yeah, I'm curious, like you're saying, like how much is this going to get referenced, right? Because it seems like a big deal. You would think that in X-Men, they'd be like, "Oh, you burned down the damn psychic school," right? Like somebody would say some shit, but I don't think McKay is going to pick this up. We'll have to wait and see. There's probably fans of these student characters who haven't seen them for decades. We're happy to see them again. I can't say that applies to me. The new character from France could be interesting. I guess the best you could say for this issue is there is a whole lot of things going on. That if you find any one of them interesting, you'll want to come back and see what happens next. But yeah, like I say, I don't think this is going to be around for a super long time, probably 12, 13 issues. We'll come back and read the second one, of course, but for right now, I think I'm just going to give this, call it a 5.5 out of 10. There's some okay ideas, but it just feels kind of like silliness. How about you, Ruben?
Yeah, I was angry, so I'm going to give it a big fuck you 5. I thought this was just trash. And I bet a lot of people are going to be like, oh, actually, I read some people, they were like, Evil Ewing is, the greatest writer for X-Men stories. I'm so glad that she's back on this book. And I was like, oh, God. No.
People have different tastes. And
not for me.
Not for me. Well, I think we should come back and read issue 2. It is a big enough deal. I do want to see what is really up with the school. Right?
Yeah.
Did Scott really do that? Is it a red herring? Is this completely unrelated? Is that not even really the school? Who the hell knows? So we'll keep reading it for now, but I don't think it's going to be at the top of my must-read pile any given week it comes out.
No.
Okay, moving on to our second and final actual X book of the week, which is Magik and Colossus number 2 of 5, Sisyphean. And I still can't figure out what that title has to do with anything in this book. Sisyphus being, of course, the king in Greek mythology, got Zeus all mad at him, so Sisyphus in the afterlife has to roll the boulder up the hill, and as soon as he gets close to the top, the son of a gun rolls back down, he has to start over again. Which is kind of a metaphor for us reviewing these Ashley Allen books, perhaps. But other than that, I don't really get what it has to do with things. And I do not have the credits in my notes. For shame on me. I always have the credits. So let's pull
It's written
those
by
up.
Ashley Allen. The color artist is Arthur Hesley.
Okay.
The artist is Jermaine Peralta. And letters by VC's Ariana Mayer.
Thank you for rescuing me there, everyone. I appreciate that.
No problem.
So we start with flashbacks about Magik and Colossus's kids. We've seen that in the first issue. These flashbacks are all about Magik not having the patience to be a fisher person. That's it.
I could feel that.
Me
neither. I tried it once and I was like, oh God, this is so boring.
I used to go fishing with my dad as a kid, and those were good times, but I haven't been fishing since.
Yeah.
So the current day scenes have the Rasputin siblings in Russia, where Pyotr in particular has been attacked by various creatures out of Russian folklore. They start off by trying to follow Magik's sparkly light tracking beacon back to what they think is the source of the problem, and they're going via train, which I thought was kind of weird because you'd think that the tracking beacon would just go directly to the source, to the target. So how is the train going to follow
on a train?
Yeah, you're stuck on a train.
And it veers off. You're like, oh, shit.
Yeah, what are you going to do? But hey, it's magic. Maybe the magic has to follow the train tracks.
Yeah.
I don't know magic. It's fine.
This was a okay scene, but I just thought, like, are other people on the train looking out the window and being like, what the hell is this, like, sparkly thing flying next to the train?
That's true. We don't see any other passengers, do we? The train appears to be completely empty, except for the two siblings. Those are the only ones we see.
Mm-hmm.
Huh. Good point. And what they're doing in the first few pages of the book especially, and this is an Ashley Allen trait that I really don't care for, all her dialogue has main characters bickering with each other over and over again. This was between Magik and Danny Moonstar in the Magik title, and now it's between the siblings here in this one. And I just don't like these people. I don't want to be around them. And it's tough to read a book called Magik and Colossus where you don't want to be around Magik and you don't want to be around Colossus. It's rough.
I was a little more forgiving, but I hear what you're saying. I think the issue is that neither one of them are really opening up themselves to each other, and both of them are concerned about whether they're emotionally stable or not. And both of them are just saying, like, we're fine. So I kind of get that. Like, they're both proud, and I don't know. I will forgive this under the theory that, like, over time they become closer together.
I think I'm extra sensitive because I have noticed the bickering tendency in previous issues between previous sets of characters. So it feels to me like
Totally fair. And if I get another, I hope I can get another screen cap. I still love that Danny crying or Magik crying outside the door.
Eavesdropping. That was a good one.
Yes, yeah. I need something like that, but I don't know. This made okay sense to me because it's siblings that are like not usually spending a lot of time together. But anyways.
Yeah, so for me, if you just like list what happens in any given scene, it's a perfectly good comic book. Just what's in the dialogue balloons themselves makes my head hurt. I just don't like it.
Fair enough.
So they arrive at St. Petersburg when the next set of folklore monsters attack, and these are Rusalkas, Russian mermaids. Pretty cool, brutal fight scene. It does look like several Russian civilian passersby get completely murdered and dismembered by the Rusalkas.
Yes. I kind of laughed about that.
They
I was
don't
like,
care
what the
about
hell?
the civilians at all, do they? Not very much.
Well, at some point, Magik's like, oh, I guess I gotta save some people. But I was like, what are these Rusalkas doing? They just decided to kill everything? I mean, I assume they were sent on a mission to, like, focus on the Rasputins, but they seem to be up for killing secondary people, too.
Or maybe just there are bloody corpses just floating in the Neva River in St. Petersburg just all the time. I don't know. Maybe they were already there.
Yeah, I mean, we see scenes where they're hooking regular people and pulling them into the water.
Okay, that's true.
So I think it's definitely the people, but why would they be killing everyone?
Mm-hmm.
Other than maybe that's what Rusalkas do. They just drag anyone to the ground and slaughter them.
Could be. So the siblings bicker some more over whether Pyotr should help Ilyana out of the water. He lowers a rope down to her, and Magik intentionally yanks the rope out of his hand.
Yeah.
Which doesn't make any sense because he is literally Colossus, right? He is literally a super strong dude made out of metal, and she's Magik, right? She's a tough broad herself, but she's not freaking Colossus, and she yanks the rope out of his hand.
Yeah.
I don't buy that. But she uses the rope as part of an electrocute everybody spell, which, boy, I hope there's no more civilians in the water for that.
Yeah.
So they defeat.
I kind of laughed at this. Two things I'll say about this. There's this panel where she kind of forms her soul sword on the water and takes a swing at one of the Rusalkas.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the scene where we see the dismembered body parts floating around.
Yes.
It almost looks like she's the responsible party for that. Like she maybe dismembered somebody. She didn't care.
Fire.
Yeah, but I don't think that's what you're supposed to think. But it sort of looks like that, which made me laugh. And then the second
she
thing,
has the big circular swing all around her body.
yes,
It does look like
exactly. And then the second one, I like the spell. You know, like she gets everyone tied up and then electrocutes the string.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm like, you're kind of in water. Like, I don't think electricity works that way. I don't think it only attaches to
through rope. It only passes through rope.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure she would have electrocuted like anybody in that water in some vicinity. But it's magic, right?
It's magic, right?
I'm like, it's magical electricity. That's fine. But I did laugh at that scene because I was like, I don't think electricity transmits that way.
As a fight scene, it works. It works pretty well. There's scary monsters. They got to fight him. She's in the water. Yeah. She's out of the water. There's magic. There's swordplay. There's punching people. It's a decent fight scene.
I was even asking like how, like I thought, oh, well, her in water is a bigger problem because she can't talk, right? She can't cast spells. At least I assume that was kind of what was going on there.
Oh.
But then she kind of blows a bubble and the spells, the words are like in the bubble and then she pops it and then that casts the spell. I thought it's kind of cool.
Visually, it looks neat.
Yeah.
I don't think we've ever seen her do that before. So I think I'd enjoy it more if I understood it as a thing that she does rather than, oh, is this just a one-off to get the scene to happen?
We also see a scene where she loses the soul sword and one of the Rusalkas going to like kill her or thinks so. And then she manifests a second sword.
The Wraith Sword.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's
I've never heard of that before, but it was cool. But I was like, that's got to be like a deep cut. So I need to look and see, like, does she always have this Wraith Sword? It was neat, but I had never seen her have a second sword.
Oh, this is apparently, and we've been talking on the Slack about the sound of typing in the background. I did just Google this. Apparently, this is a new concept developed by Germán Peralta like 6 months ago. I don't know if it was for this, but it's not a long running situation.
Yeah.
Okay.
Interestingly, it's definitely a fencing sword as I look at it. It's a thin, narrow blade, unlike the soul sword, which is like this big cleaver, right? Like
it looks more like a Three Musketeers kind of a blade. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know the definitions. I know there's rapier, there's epee. It's not a big old saber like the one she's got.
Yeah, but she has the ability. It has like a parrying, like
a hand guard situation.
Yeah,
Again, I don't know the terminology. Yep. So they defeat the mermaids. They get out of the water, and then there's another mythological creature, a little tiny old dude wearing a towel, who is a bani, who is a Russian mythological thing. It's a spirit who haunts and kind of takes care of public baths.
Yeah, I kind of like this. I kind of like this scene, right? They get out. They've been fighting like 2 issues. They've been fighting mythological things. So they see this thing and they're like, "Oh, it's another one. Let's go get that." Or they like mistakenly think it's part of the, the monsters attacking them. And normally, I feel like it's too convenient, but I kind of like the way it plays out here because it's rational for them to be like, okay, we're just getting attacked by folk creatures. Like, let's take care of this one.
And he almost feels like he's out of like a Studio Ghibli kind of a situation, like sort of a natured spirit. So they grab him. Magik kind of has him, hovering there in the air, trapped. And he says, you're right. I am kind of involved. There's a guy called the Immortal who's trying to turn all the Russian magical creatures against you. I don't like the guy, but that is really what's happening. And by the way, there is an object at that church over there. If you go get that object, it'll help lead you to the big bad guy.
Yeah.
I would think Magik and Colossus should be a little bit skeptical about this, right? But we don't have time for that. No skepticism. Yeah. Colossus says, okay, Magik, I'll stay here and guard the outside. You go in and get the thing. And this is what Magik says, don't worry. I've never been patient. I'm going to be quick about it. And that's paying off the flashback I can't be patient scenes.
Yeah.
That's the payoff just does not, we did not need to spend those scenes in the past, but this is all we get out of it. I'm going to be quick going into the church.
Also, she walks in, she's all bloody still from the fight. And I was kind of like, don't you have like a healing spell or something?
She likes looking badass, I guess. I don't know.
I guess. I just imagine like you walk into a church and you're like covered in blood. I would assume if there happens to be a priest or somebody in there, it'd be like, oh my God, what the hell happened to you? Like, let's get some help, right? There's no discretion there.
Well, maybe they're just used to Rusalka's doing this every day, so it's not a big deal. This is the best art in the book, though, when she goes inside the church.
Oh, yeah, it looks beautiful.
The backgrounds, it's very Eastern Orthodox church with the icons and the mosaics and just the columns. Looks very neat.
Yeah, agreed.
The magical item that she sees, it's an egg. I think it's supposed to resemble like the Fabergé eggs, the jeweled eggs that the Tsars had. So she goes to get that. And then she's interrupted by this old bearded monk-looking guy in a robe. He casts a spell on her saying Sviazan, which in Russian means something like prisoner or captive. But notably, it's written in very, very old-fashioned Russian. Like the third letter there, which looks like an A, but with an extra little vertical line in it. That letter does not exist in modern Russian. When I learned a little bit of Russian 20-something years ago, that letter was long, long gone. It comes from something called Old Church Slavonic, which I guess is sort of like the equivalent of Old English to modern English. So we're definitely being told that this guy has been around a long, long time. I want to say that he's supposed to be like Rasputin, which would be confusing since these siblings have Rasputin as their own last name, but who knows? Somebody who's been around a long, long time, casting a spell on them.
Yeah. There's some trash talk here that I kind of like too, is that he casts this spell and she can't seem to break out of it. And then he's like, you seriously don't know the old magic? Like, you're not focused on this shit. This is like classic, basic Russian magic. And when I was like a kid, I could have broken out of this, which I thought was pretty cool for this character because Magik seems to know. Yeah, she seems to know her stuff, or you'd think she'd know her stuff. She even taught at the Strange Academy, right? But apparently she never studied classic Russian magic spells.
And Ashley Allen has been bringing Russian folklore into her books ever since, I think was it Blood Hunt? I think was the first magic one-shot she did with the Russian vampire character. So it is a thing Ashley Allen does, and I enjoy that because this is a part of mythology we don't
get
see
in
in comic books, right?
Yeah, exactly.
You get your vampires, your dragons, your mermaids, although these are weird mermaids. You get the European stuff, the Western European stuff all the time.
Yeah.
This is something different, kind of nifty.
Yeah.
So this old wizard dude does know these kids. He says, oh, I hate sibling dramatics, knows that they're siblings. Splitting up you Rasputins, knows their name, will be doing you both a favor. So then he and Magik disappear through a portal, possibly a rift, and Colossus is stuck there in St. Petersburg. So next issue, they're split up, they've got their own battles, and then they'll have to try to get back together.
Yeah.
So that's where the issue ends. Decent enough story. Like the Rusalkas are scary, the church looks cool, spooky old dude is a perfectly good spooky old dude. Like
good
the
fight
Russian
scene.
The Russian mythology is cool stuff. Just the dialogue, I don't care for the dialogue, but everything else, it's pretty good. It's certainly, I think, of the two Ashley Allen titles running right now, I do enjoy this more than I like the first issue of Moonstar. This feels like something more solid. So I'm going to give this, 6.5 out of 10. It's a fine book. I just don't like the dialogue. How about you, Ruben?
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you my actual score because I'm a I'm easily amused. I'm going to go to 7.5. I think for me, it's a lot of fun. I understand why the dialogue grates you, but it doesn't bother me quite as much. And this to me feels a little better than the pure magic book that we got. Maybe it helps that Colossus is kind of a known character, and we're also dealing with kind of him getting over the mind control that Mikhail had and his like guilt over having killed people, even though he was mind controlled. So I feel like it's doing a little bit more than we were getting before. And even in that original Magic, I think I always said I thought the fight scenes were pretty well choreographed and seemed dramatic. And I like the way the spells are handled. So I'm having fun with this. This isn't like, I don't know. It's not something I'd say you have to go out and read. So probably 6.5 is fair. But for my own personal enjoyment, I'm going to go with the 7.5.
Sounds good. I understand why. I'm sure there's folks out there who like it even better than we do. If you're a big Magic fan and you're happy to see her still have a book, it's a pretty good book.
I think I might also be a little high on this idea of, I'm a big mythology fan in general, but as you said, like we don't usually see Russian mythology in great detail. So I'm having fun with those. It's a lot more, this is more interesting. These creatures are more interesting than what we're getting in Uncanny with like the Monster Squad, right?
Right.
At least to me, like seeing another Frankenstein and Wolfman and all that, it's like, whatever. Been there, done that. But I've not seen all these creatures
and
before.
Bathhouse spirits. Kind of nifty. It sends me on some fun Wikipedia deep dives. Do I have that button? I don't. But it sends me on some Wikipedia deep dives where I learn things that I wouldn't before. I talk to, my Russian-speaking contact who tells me about Old Church Slavonic. There's some fun things to think about, which, if that's in a comic book, that's pretty good. Okay, we're moving on. Where's my little ding sound? We are leaving the X office and we're heading off into... Because we have two separate Marvel Cosmic books to talk about today. Because, Ruben, Marvel Cosmic is just taking off like wildfire. It's just going to be everything's going to be Marvel Cosmic going forward. Today, we're going to start off with Nova Centurion number 5, which came out last week. It is called Grand Theft Starship Part 2, which, again, I think is probably the penultimate issue of this title. Written by Jed MacKay, art by Alvaro Lopez, colors by Mattia Iacono, and letters by Corey Pettit. So, Ruben, how about you tell us everything we should know about Nova Centurion number 5?
Sure. So the issue kicks off where we left off the last issue. Where is it? Rixlow? I always don't remember how to say his last name.
Eden Rixlow is what I'm calling it.
Eden Rixlow. Okay. So Eden Rixlow had stolen a ship. Was a principal of something
interest, equitable interest,
reasonable interest,
something like that.
And Nova chased Eden through this Stargate and arrived at the space station where, when he boarded the ship, it turned out that Eden had been hired by Star-Lord, and they had boosted the ship to try to get Nova in the same room with Star-Lord so they could have a conversation. And as you could kind of predict, with Nova being pissed at Star-Lord at the end of the Imperial storyline, he was not too happy to see Star-Lord now. And so the first part of this story is just the two of them fighting each other, basically. Some fisticuffs. And each of them gets in some good punches. And then eventually, once the boys have beat the face of their friend enough, Albert kind of says, okay, enough of that, pulls a gun and says, like, let's have a conversation, see what's going on.
Albert and Cammy say, okay, let's move on with it.
Yeah. And so here we find out Star-Lord basically says, hey, Nova, like, you're kind of a dope. The Kree Skrull War knows that you boosted the Mysterium, that it didn't kind of go missing, and they want to kill you. And that's a problem. And then this moment is interrupted by the Kree Skrull War showing up in like a huge armada to the space station. And It seemed like Star-Lord thought he had a lot longer to figure out a solution. He is basically saying, hey, Nova, give me the Mysterium, and then, I will broker a trade to like kind of get them off your back, probably by just saying like, oh, it was a mistake. Here's what you want.
Yeah, this is the scene where it starts to feel like the series is in fast forward. I'm sure Jed MacKay did not want to bring these characters together so soon, because the whole kind of impetus for this series is, they're mad at each other and separate. And I'm sure he didn't want to get to the Mysterium that the Nova had stolen the Mysterium himself right away. Yeah. That was supposed to be spun out much longer.
Yeah.
And he also didn't want to reveal that Cammy was stealing Mysterium because she has this crazy medical condition where the only cure to kind of hold it off, the only cure is more cowbell, and the cowbell is made of mysterium.
Yeah. So we're on the space station. The Kree Skull War mod is there, about to attack, and then Cammy mentions something about Mysterium, and they're like, "How do you know about Mysterium?" And then she reveals that the reason she was in the room when she was caught and then forced, which was kind of how Nova, found her, and was basically that she needed it because she got, like, on one of her missions, she got infected by some space parasite, and then I guess
that actually did happen on panel in, what was it? It was Revenge of Cosmic Ghost Rider, where she was working with the Cosmic King, who gets mentioned in here. I did go back and just read that scene, and yes, she absolutely is shown on panel being infected by this Code Shutter Indigo possessor, cosmic horror thing that goes from person to person looking for power. Yeah.
So it starts to bust out of her, and it's like your traditional tentacle beast blob thing. And so
it almost looks like the tentacles that are attacking the X-Men in that other book, where they're just in a room and tentacles are coming in. These could be the tentacles leaving this panel and going into that panel.
Yes, the danger room.
Yes.
So Nova and Star-Lord and everybody is kind of off the ship. There's a big fight. The tentacles are killing the Kree Skull War, and then Eden Rixlow seems to have boosted Star-Lord's ship agaan.
Right. So he's
and it's flying off with it, and then Nova says he's got to free Cammy from this possession thing, which I don't even know what that really means, right? Like, it all came out of her. I guess maybe she's in the center of it, but he's going to blast into it and try to drag her out.
Right. So that's kind of all that happens descriptively. The individual panels look pretty great.
Yeah.
Very bright colored. It's especially that first scene has kind of a comedic feel to it. This series has had two artists, Alvaro Lopez and Mateo Delafonte, and they have very different styles. I like them both, but I think the series would feel more unified if it had been one or the other. This feels a little disjointed from what we've seen before, but on its own as a single issue, it looks terrific. So we see how the story is going to wrap up, right? We got to save Cammy. We got to get this cosmic horror out of her or heal her from it. We've got to get Nova and Star-Lord kind of buddy-buddy again. We've got to figure out how the world mind is going to get recharged and kept alive. We need to figure out what the next status quo is for Nova, and we need to do all that in just one more issue because Marvel Cosmic has crashed and burned, which is a real shame because this has been one of the better books, I think, that Marvel's been putting out lately.
I had a lot more fun with this previously, but it's just so accelerated at this point. Right. Clearly just to get to an end that this individual issue wasn't that great. I mean, the dialogue here is good, but everything just happens to happen in general.
Yeah, they all have to tell each other plot points that clearly were supposed to be individual issues that just get one dialogue balloon to say, but no, this is what's really happening.
Yeah. So I'm hoping the last issue is paced a little better, but this one I felt was like I was down on it. So for me, this was like maybe a 6.5.
Okay. I'm up at a 7.5. I still enjoyed it, even though I could see the flaws. I could see why the flaws are in there. I think the art is really terrific. The splash page of all the KSW ships arriving to the portal looks great. The cosmic horror of that monster coming out of Cammy's body looks horrific in a pretty cool comic book kind of way. I do like the interaction between Nova and Star-Lord, even though it's fast-forwarded from what it should be. Still kind of fun to see. So yeah, I thought it's still one of the better books I read this week or last week even, which is why I'm giving it that 7.5. But it does certainly have its flaws. Anything else about Nova before we head over to Imperial Guardians?
Nope.
Okay, let's do it. Imperial Guardians #1 of, I think, 5 issues, 6 issues, don't know. I think another good name for this series would be Cosmic X-Force, because that's basically what it is. It is written by Dan Abnett, pencils by Marcelo Ferreira, inks by Jay Leaston, colors by Rochelle Rosenberg, letters by Corey Pettit. So yeah, I really like this issue. It's a shame that Marvel Comic relaunch has crashed and burned, because I'd love to see an ongoing of this, and I feel almost like I'm mourning this series being over before it's really gotten started. So this spins very directly out of Imperial, especially out of the Imperial War: Imperial Guardians one-shot. And that was 5 months ago, so I went back and reread that, and that really gave me a better handle on what the heck's even going on. So if you haven't reread that issue lately, here's what you need to remember. Gamora and Darkhawk ran into each other out there in space, and they teamed up because they were both seeing some rumors, something weird going on with the Skrulls. Specifically, ideas that this long-dead religious figure, Viranke, had returned, was going from world to world, rallying Skrulls to her cause. They run into Captain Marvel, working the same rumors, but then Carol heads off on her own to chase down a different lead. Gamora and Darkhawk learn that the Viranke causing the rumors was actually a shape-shifting Shi'ar who had been sent to stir up trouble among the Kree-Skull Alliance. They wanted to let the rest of the galaxy know what was really up, but Super Skrull wanted to stop them because he thought that although Viranke is false, the thing that the fake Viranke was preaching was true when it was time for Skrulls to be Skrulls. And then Maximus of the Inhumans showed up, and he wanted to stop the story from getting out because this was all part of his plan to help his brother and the rest of the Inhuman royal family take over rulership of the Kree Empire again. So at the end of that one-shot, Maximus had the Cosmic Ghost Rider murder Gamora and Darkhawk to death to prevent the story from getting out. That's where we are now. This issue starts with a flash forward, but we're going to put things back in order to explain how the team got together. Maximus, of course, has been kicked out of the Inhuman royal family. He was useful for them when they're out of power, but now that they're back in power, he's a liability, so he's out. He claims to be working on behalf of the newly formed Galactic Union, taking care of it from the shadows, really very, very much like for Cohen X-Force, like he's kind of a beast type figure. So he has Cosmic Ghost Rider revive Gamora and Darkhawk, which I guess is something the Power Cosmic can do. They're very specific that he can only revive them because he's the one who killed them. He can't revive just anybody. And do you remember who Cosmic Ghost Rider is? Remember his whole deal? Yes. So he's Frank Castle, the Punisher from a dystopian future. And in the future, he cut a deal with Mephisto, made him a Ghost Rider. And then he became a Herald of Galactus, so he got the Power Cosmic. And then Thanos sent him back in time via Thanos shenanigans. And how he winds up working for Maximus, why he decides to work for Maximus, we don't know. I think that's probably going to have to be revealed at some point because it seems wacky. Why would he hook up with this, Maximus the Mad of the Inhumans? So Gamora and Darkhawk are alive again. Maximus convinces Gamora to join the team by saying, "Oh, I'm working for Peter Quill. And you like Peter Quill, don't you?" And yeah, Peter Quill, he wants this whole Galactic Confederation Union to survive, so you better work for me, right? So obviously Maximus is lying or twisting the truth here somehow, but Gamora, not skeptical at all, totally buys it. She's got some unresolved emotions regarding Mr. Quill. Also, Maximus has brought in Captain Marvel and Amadeus Cho. Captain feels bad about kinda sorta getting Gamora and Darkhawk killed back in the one-shot. She also thinks the Union's a good idea. Amadeus Cho is along for the ride, I guess because he goes where Carol tells him to go. Don't really know that part. And then Darkhawk joins up because everybody else has joined up and he's got nothing else better to do. Plus, he's been having these prophetic visions of the future, and maybe this team is a way to make that not happen. So that's our team. Gamora insists that everybody uses first names. So Ghost Rider is Francis, Darkhawk is Christopher, Captain Marvel is Carol. Any ideas, Ruben, why Gamora would be so into first names? I don't really know her so well as a character. I think you've read more Guardians of the Galaxy than I have.
Yeah, I think she just thinks the superhero theatrics stuff is a bunch of bullshit, and that she doesn't want to have these code names. She just wants people to be people.
Fair enough. We do get to have their private journal moments. A little bit reminiscent of some things Tom King has done in some books, but I think it's done very well here. We only get these little moments of them kind of bearing their actual opinions, which is kind of fun. And then they get sent on their first mission. A Kree Grand Admiral, not very happy that Black Bolt, etc., have taken over the Kree homeworld. So this Admiral and the ship are en route to launch, we think, antimatter warheads at them. The Imperial Guardians set out to stop them quietly so that the galaxy doesn't even need to know that there's internal problems in the Kree. Turns out it's not warheads, it's these things called Nulltrons. Nulltrons are self-replicating attack robots, and if these Nulltrons get out, they reproduce, take over the galaxy, bad stuff. So this forces Captain Marvel's hand. She, quote, goes Nova, which destroys the Nulltrons, also destroys the entire ship, kills thousands of Kree who are aboard the ship, so problem solved, but Carol feels awful guilty about it. By the way, Nulltrons, deep pull by Dan Abnett, who, he knows his Marvel cosmic stuff really well. The Nulltrons have only appeared in one arc before, as far as I can tell. in the arc of the original Captain Marvel title, Marvel title, or Marvel, I forget where the hyphen is, in the mid-70s, Captain Marvel number 41, 44, and 45, meaning they haven't been heard from in like 50 years. I was barely born when they were first published. So they look very Jack Kirby-esque, but they were created by Steve Englehart and Al Milgrom. So that's what happens in the issue. It's really more about setting up the team and letting us know how this kind of fits into the galactic situation. We do get a perfectly good action scene, but I don't think it's really about the action scene. It's about these characters.
Yeah. The interpersonal dynamics are really solid, though. I had a lot of fun with it.
Dan Abnett is really good at that. And he knows these characters super well.
Yeah.
There is one more bit right at the end. Francis, Cosmic Ghost Rider to us, he secretly collected a few shards of those destroyed Nultrons, gives them to Maximus, once again emphasizing to us readers that Maximus is up to a little more than he's letting on. Obviously, he's friggin' Maximus. And also, did that little scene remind you of any other book we've read recently?
No. What are you thinking of?
It's just like the end of Inglorious X-Force, where we learn that Cable and his team did defeat those bad guys, but Cable stole some SHIELD documents.
The files. Yeah, fair enough.
It's just like that. So it's really the team leader is trying to do some good stuff, but also has motives the rest of the team doesn't know about.
Yeah, there's also that angle. So you were talking about these like vignettes of like secret recordings that the team members are having.
Yeah, personal log situation, yeah.
Yeah, and I kind of like the angle for it, where they're basically like, we got to record this just in case some stuff goes bad, so people know we weren't, just psychos that were out doing things.
Mm-hmm.
And also, we don't trust Maximus. Like if he does something that, makes us look culpable, like these recordings will help substantiate that we weren't. And it's sort of the team versus Cosmic Ghost Rider and Maximus. And then at the very end, we get like a little panel where it's like Cosmic Ghost Rider's like, oh yeah, I know about the recordings. He's doing his own recording, which I was like, oh man, that's funny.
Mm-hmm. And I think it does help because I don't know much about this Darkhawk Christopher Powell. The only Darkhawk series I've really read in full was the one that appears to have been retconned away, because in that book, Christopher Powell was dead and the whole Darkhawk outfit went to some other kid. Mm-hmm. So I guess that didn't actually happen anymore. So I'm glad to get to know this guy. And he is an interesting character for a superhero. He has this big cosmic power, this alien suit that doesn't really work with a Earth physiology. And he's got these horrible visions of the future. And when he puts the suit on, he bilocates to some weird alien place he doesn't know anything about. So It's kind of a cool concept. So I want to see more about him.
Yeah. And I like the way it's handled, too, where he's like got his skepticisms and then people are throwing it in his face. They're like, you don't even really know what your powers are, how it like works with your physiology. Like, because he's having these like weird visions of like a dystopian future, right? And they're just like, well, it sucks, but.
Which also came up in the one shot. So it's definitely been.
How do you not know it's just your like psychosis of like the way your power works? So really good elements, I think.
Mm-hmm. The only thing I'd hold against the issue is that we've seen the structure so many times before. Right,
Mm-hmm.
Guy puts a team together, but he's got other motives, and they're trying to do the right thing. It doesn't feel brand new at all. It's just kind of a very good quality version of a story I've read, a dozen or so times before, which is not the worst thing. It's comics. How many comic books have I read in my life? Thousands. So how many stories can there possibly be?
Sure.
It's not the most original thing ever, and that's the only negative I can give here. The art looks terrific. Marcelo Ferreira draws them with a lot of energy and emotion. I do like the way he handles the creepy visions. Those look nice. And Rochelle Rosenberg's black and red color scheme for those visions makes them stand out and makes them feel different. So that sells the creep factor. Overall, I'm going to give Imperial Guardians 8.3 out of 10. I think this is a pretty good book. I'm already annoyed. It's not going to last very long, but I'm hoping to enjoy it while it's around. How about you?
Yeah, this was my book of the week for sure. I'm going to give it an 8.5. So same vein. I think the art is really cool. It's very stylized, but I understood what was going on in every scene. And there's a lot of detail in the background. I'm usually not an art person, but it's noticeable when it doesn't just see a lot of white background panels. So it feels like you're getting like a high quality amount of
in that
art
Kree ship especially. It feels like it's a lived-in ship. It's kind of worn down. You can see where the metal is kind of connected. It's got this weird tech that just feels Kree in the background. Looks cool. Yeah. Feels good.
Yeah, and then when you have, like you said, the the theme of this book has been done. Like we've seen it. It's even very similar to like New Avengers, which I've gushed about. But the secret to these types of stories, in my mind, is you got to keep your personalities distinct, and because it's just a story about clash of personalities, right? That's the selling point for this.
Mm-hmm.
If you're gonna have a bunch of like weird people that shouldn't be working together, but they're working together, like you got to highlight that, and they have to all feel different and have different motivations and ways they handle things, and they do that. And all the characters they come across is pretty cool. And I kind of like even Darkhawk's portrayal here. Like he's an interesting character, but I kind of like how he's like, I don't know why I'm on this team, right? Like you've got people on the team that you got a freaking Hulk on here, right? Like you've got people that
he's
can
kind of
accomplish anything. I'm just sort of like here. But
I think the only character that's not so true about is Amadeus Cho. I don't really know his motivation. I don't really know why he's on the team. Maybe, again, this was just one issue. Maybe next issue we get a little more of a focus on him and what he's doing.
Yeah. The other thing about him that's kind of weird is why is he in a Hulkbuster suit? Because if he's a Hulk, like shouldn't he just be badass without this armor?
Is it because he's in space?
And he needs to breathe or something?
It is weird. Yeah, he's in a suit, and I think not Gamora, but I think one other character ends up. I don't know. It is. Yeah, there's some weird, almost Captain or Iron Man kind of a suit situation going on with some of the characters, and don't really know why. It's like when they're being towed around by the Cosmic Ghost Rider's cosmic motorcycle.
Yeah.
I am glad to see Cosmic Ghost Rider back. Danny Cates had that moment a few years ago where he was just everywhere in Marvel, and a lot of what he did has not really stuck around so much. But I did enjoy this version of crazy Frank Castle from the future, Cosmic Ghost Rider. So it is fun to see Cosmic Ghost Rider back for sure. Yeah. Okay, anything else to add about Imperial Guardians, or should we wrap this thing up?
Nope, this is really fun. Check it out if you're at all interested. Even though it's canceled, I guess I would say, like, check it out because it shows that people are interested in these characters at least.
Yeah, it's canceled, but it's not as canceled as Exiles, which is so canceled it never even came out.
Yeah.
Okay, let's wrap this up. Next week, we have X-Men number 27, where we go back to that Danger Room arc where they were being attacked by tentacles on a ship last we saw them. We also have Cyclops number 2. His visor's been busted, he's surrounded by Reavers, and he's got one little kid mutant to try to help him out. Could be fun. We have Wade Wilson Deadpool, that's his name. Wade Wilson Deadpool number 2.
Sounds like you just invented a new character.
I'm going to blame that on autocorrect, but I should know better. His name is Wade, for crying out loud.
Wade Wilson is his brother, his evil doppelganger.
That's how he signs into hotels when he doesn't want anyone to know. Wade Wilson Deadpool number 2. He's depressed, and then he starts getting these notes predicting the future and telling him to be a hero. Let's see what happens. And that's all for next week. I'm going to say my recommended reading for this week is going to be that original Nulltron arc of Captain Marvel from the 1970s. So just go to your Marvel Unlimited and find that Captain Marvel Volume 1, number 41, and check out what these Nulltron things are. Okay, well, that's all I have to say this week. And while I'm checking out some classic Captain Marvel from my extreme youth, what else can folks do with their busy lives?
Read more X-Men comics.
Get ready, everyone, and you just might survive. Ruben and Jason are here with their X-Men deep dive. Going through all the X-books is their mission, so get ready for the Learned Edition. Things are getting weird in here. Ruben hopes another sword book gets announced this year.
Ruben.
It's the Weird Dose of X, the X-Men comic show. It's the Weird Dose of X, guaranteed. It's the Weird Dose of X, guaranteed not to blow, except your mind. It's the Weird Dose of X, the X-Men comic show. It's the Weird Dose of X, guaranteed not to blow, except your mind.
I like it, though. I listen to it every week. I like it, though. I listen to it every week. I like